on your computer, on your smartphone, on your Wi-Fi radio. We're localwebradio.fm.
Are you dealing with a health issue you would love to resolve? Would you like to restore yourself to be healthier and more invigorated? There is help. Welcome to the Natural Therapies Show with Dr. Tim Brown, architect and creator of Ocean Park Natural Therapies. Now, here's your host.
Eva Marienchild here, and yes, I'm your host, and I'm here with Dr. Tim Brown, MD, owner of Ocean Park Natural Therapies, and creator of Solving Your Health Puzzle with Integrated Medicine. Today, we're going to be discussing healthy people programs and Dr. Brown's approach to helping people become more informed about their own health, what he calls individualized approach, so they can start making positive, healthy changes to enjoying a full life. Now, before Dr. Brown joins us, just a reminder that if you have questions or if you require assistance, you can reach his office at 604-538-3017. Or you can visit his office online at www.oceanparkhealth.com. Okay, Dr. Brown, welcome to the call.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing fine.
Good, glad to hear it. Okay, let's just get right into this wonderful topic, which is going to be of interest to our listeners. What is the purpose of Healthy People Programs?
The Healthy People Programs is a concept that a colleague and I came up with a few years ago, and the idea was to get what we do from a clinical side in our office, but to get information and treatments and things out to the public. And when I say that, I mean it's helping people help themselves get healthier and maintain their health. So I read a book at one point, and they talked about the different IQs. And there were 13 different IQs identified, IQ being an intelligent quotient. And unlike IQ in school, which is mainly about reading and sometimes math skills, in those IQs was one called Health IQ, and that appealed to me in that an IQ is the ability to make a distinction and then be able to act on it. So an example of that is they talked about Eskimos having an IQ for snow, and all the distinctions that they could make about the different types of snow, and of course that meant different actions that would be taken accordingly in order to survive and operate in a landscape that, basically you're dealing with snow most of the year. So relative to Health IQ, then it's about the ability to make distinctions in order to act appropriately in different areas of your health. My job then is to help educate people to improve their Health IQ, to go from very simple distinctions to more complex distinctions which have a higher skill level and often involve higher technologies and techniques. But then we need to offer solutions not just in the technical end, which our healthcare system tends to get to the high tech and then the high cost sort of things, which is a bit of a problem. But we also need to provide simple, straightforward solutions so people can start making positive health changes to improve or maintain their life.
Absolutely. It's not just about fixing something once it's broken, is it? It's like prophylactic remedies.
Well, yes, prevention is a part of the focus, but what that really means, prevention is a hard thing to deal with because you don't know there's something going on until, first of all, you can identify it. And the distinctions when you're healthy are harder to to focus on what you need to do, because when you're healthy, you really don't need to pay attention to much. It's
right.
Health is kind of like a freedom.
Mm-hmm.
The three freedoms, or the three things that cause stress, I identify them down to three main sources in life, which are time, energy, and money. The energy is the health part of it, because it's all about energy and having it. But when you have an abundance of these things, you don't think about them. You don't
mm-hmm.
pay much attention to them. You just share them and you give them away freely because there's an abundance. But when you're short on time, deficient in energy, and low on money, then everything becomes a stress. And
absolutely.
Yeah. And I give the example to my patients. I said, look, if I offered you a trip to Hawaii, for whatever time frame you wanted to be there, would you take it? And most people say yes. And then I say, okay, but now I'm going to change the variables. You've got to go within the next hour.
Right. The stress level, right to the ceiling.
I just changed the time level.
Right.
And I said, okay, I'm going to change one other variable. You're going to have to get there in a rowboat. My God, no, I can't do that. It's way too much energy, and it's going to take too much time and stuff. And then the other thing, is the money. And people think, I can't afford it. So if you change those money variables and what the cost is, if I said it was free, that's great. As soon as I change the other variables, it's stressful. So
absolutely.
The freedom is having the ability in your life to have a sense of open time frames, lots of energy, or you don't have to think about the energy, it's just there. And the finances, or the money part, is the exchange for usually services for your energy and things. So those are the big equations that we kind of work within.
Wonderful. May I ask you, Dr. Brown, why did you use the term back-brain-body solutions?
Well, I came up with that because I realized that most of the things that were important, well, first of all, I was trained in chiropractic medicine initially, and the reason I went into that was because of the importance of the nervous system. I studied undergraduate in physical education, and one of the courses I took was Psychology 101, and we had to write a paper, and the paper I chose to write on was called Why People Play, or it was all about play. And the thing, I came across a little book by Roger Ellis. It was basically looked at the nervous system in animals and things, and nervous system was different. It needed stimulation. It didn't want homeostasis. Things needed to be novel and slightly stimulating, or the nervous system didn't work that well. So animals in a zoo get bored. And when they're bored, they go into kind of a depressive state because they don't have enough stimulation. They found that airplane controllers, looking at radar screens and stuff, they would get hypnotized or kind of bored, or their senses would drop off. They found that things like dogs that are sniffing for drugs and things, they need to find drugs at times and things to stimulate their system. The point being is the nervous system was really important. So I went into chiropractic because it was actually focused on the nervous system, but they focused on the back initially. And then I realized that the brain and the back were important. And what I've observed in my practice is I've seen patients over the years where they had a strong body. They were ex-football player or wrestler or something. They had a very strong physical body, but they were in Alzheimer's and dementia, and their spouse, the pressures it put on the family system and everything were tremendous. And, you realize pretty quickly that you've got to have a brain that's working and working well in order to enjoy life. And then I have other patients who are sharp as a tack, and, they're maybe in their 60s, 70s, or early 80s even, but their body has been deteriorating to the point where they're in constant pain, their bones are fragile, and it's just no fun living in that body. And so I realized that we needed to provide solutions for a healthy back, brain, and body, and that's more or less the umbrella in which I try to provide care for people.
Good for you. That's interesting. So homeostasis is not really something that would be considered relevant to overall health when it comes to talking about the nervous system.
Exactly. Of all the systems in the body, now, there's another principle that I kind of share with the listeners. All things in the body, functions from physiology, are set up on opposites. So, for instance, I'll just give an example like pH. pH is acid-alkaline balance.
Right.
Now, on the one end, you have acid, which the pH is of hydrogen ions. It's on the low end, and in physiology, if you get down to a low acid state, the acids would eat up your body.
Absolutely.
On the other end, you have alkaline, which is the pH range is above 7. So above 7, you get to a point where you can become so alkaline that alkali can also eat and destroy the body. So the body has a set of parameters in which it operates in balance, and it must adjust those. On each side, the body has pathways for upregulation and downregulation. So with acids, you can upregulate or downregulate the acid side, and you have upregulation and downregulation of the alkaline side. And it's that feedback mechanism between those things that creates a proper balance, so that the healthy body, has a fairly large range in which it can balance back and forth because it has a good feedback system. It has the nutrients and the various things to establish that. And that's really how everything in the body functions on all the different levels. So it's kind of looks like the infinity symbol, figure 8 turned on its side, and that's how all your physiology runs. So our task then is to find out when the body gets stuck on one side or the other, and to allow it to adjust or modulate back and forth.
And you probably tell your patients to eat the fruits and veggies to get more alkaline, and how to reduce the acidity, which is what causes most of the ailments you find?
Well, the problem is that most of the things that we do in life, when we exercise and things, the byproduct of what we do creates acids. So therefore, what we need to do is we need to buffer those to bring them down, and that's why most of the time we're in an over-oxidized and an acid state, and we need the alkalizing principles of life to bring back the balance. It's just we've gotten out of balance. And yes, the fruits and the vegetables and things are part of what we have to put in to balance it out. The acid side is too much. When we exercise, when we drink coffee, eat a lot of sugar, and even eating a lot of proteins, you have a lot of acids. And the waste products of these acids is what we have to buffer and get out of the system.
Okay. Thank you for that. Interesting. Would you please discuss the importance of individualized medicine versus standardized care?
Okay, that's an important topic because more and more we're getting to insurance sort of run medicine and standardization of things. So if you've got a condition, there's a standard approach that doctors are supposed to follow in order to treat it. But the problem is that this becomes kind of cookie-cutter medicine where everybody gets the same thing.
Right.
And it doesn't not work because of individual characteristics, which is genetics and various things, and temperaments and different things, that the physiology of an individual, even though we all have a certain basis around, what pH we can tolerate and certain things that are destructive to all of us, how we process information and health is individualized. An example of that, I was at a conference on children's problems, autism and this sort of thing, and there